Do you love to travel and save money? Or do you wish you could travel but money is holding you back? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Family's Flyfree podcast, where I show you how to fly your family free forever using my simple Flyfree formula. I'm your host, Lynn Mettler. My family of 4 has mastered the art of flying free as simply as possible since 2015, and I want to show your family how to do it too. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Family's Flyfree podcast. I am Lynn Mettler. Today, we are going to talk about a decision that I made that surprised me even, and that was my decision to invest in, become a member of Disney Vacation Club. And Disney Vacation Club is a timeshare program. And if you're like me, you hear the word timeshare and you want to run in the other direction, right? You think of timeshares and being cornered and listening to some super high pressure presentation. And you hear about people who, they get timeshares and then they don't want them anymore. And they almost have to pay someone to take it off their hands and that they're a ripoff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I've talked on this podcast before about how we teach people to rent other people's timeshares. So not owning it yourself, but, renting from someone who's already purchased a timeshare. That's a great way to stay really cheaply at some amazing properties, because there are some great timeshares around the world. Wyndham has some great properties. Marriott has some great properties. Hyatt has their own timeshare program. IHG, Intercontinental Hotels Group, has their own hotel program. There's many, many different programs out there, but Disney Vacation Club is one, and it is one of the most successful timeshare programs ever. So I really just never even considered Disney Vacation Club, which I'm also going to refer to as DVC. That's the acronym for it, Disney Vacation Club, because I just thought it was some super expensive thing that the numbers really didn't make any sense. And I have walked by the kiosks at Disney World and Disneyland 80 million times and paid little to no attention to them. I will say that last November, when we were at Beach Club, I was a little bit intrigued because they had the separate signs and area for the DVC villas, and they looked very nice. It looked like it's a neat little private area, and I thought, "Ooh, that looks really cool." But before I get into the full reason about why I decided to make this investment, things that really surprised me about Disney Vacation Club once I was willing to actually take a real look at it and run the hard numbers, is I do want to mention that inside of Families Fly Free, for all of you Disney lovers or folks out there who would love to take a trip to Disney but feel like it's too expensive this year or any year, we, inside of the Families Fly Free membership, beginning in October, I'm going to be teaching a live class for 6 months. There'll be one class a month where I'm going to teach you how to do Disney free. So we're going to go through everything from how to fly free to Disney to how to stay free at Disney, both on property, off property, in vacation rentals, what all your different options are down there. We'll talk about how to save on theme park tickets and dining, and even just how to successfully do Disney, to understand the ins and outs and make it a great trip for your family, whether you just want to go once for the first time or you're going back for your 20th time. So if you want to be a part of that class, we're all going to go through it together, everyone who starts in October. You do need to join the membership by October 1st. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. That gives you a full month to think about it. But if Disney is on your radar next year and you would love to not shell out $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 on a trip to Disney, come, let us help you. My family's been going to Disney, as you probably know, every single year for many years, and we really love it. And we have figured out how to maximize savings at Disney. So check out familiesflyfree.com/join. Of course, you get so many other benefits as a member. This is just one of many, but we definitely see lots of Disney families inside the membership. And so this is something I really want to teach and take people through it step by step live. So you can ask any questions that you have along the way, anything specific to your family. You can bring it to those calls, or as a member, you can, of course, you have many options to ask us questions. But back to today's topic, which is Disney Vacation Club. So the reason why I opened my eyes to this, I was suddenly intrigued by it, was because I did notice that a lot of our Families Fly Free members are Disney Vacation Club members too. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. Like, what am I missing? Because clearly people see value in this, and how am I not seeing the value? What is the value? Like, I guess I really hadn't even taken the time to see if there was value, and I just assumed there wasn't. So what I did is I invited 6 of our Families Fly Free members who are also DVC members to do a panel webinar inside the membership, all about Disney Vacation Club, and to explain how it works, why they decided to become members, how they really maximize their own savings inside this membership. And then they answered, all the questions that I had and that other members had. And I tell you what, this webinar blew me away. These folks who are DVC members just loved being DVC members. They couldn't have enough good things to say about it. We have one member, Cindy, who has been a member since Disney World opened in 1971, and she's still going and taking her grown children and their children, and they're having this annual, extended family vacation that they count on, that everyone looks forward to, from the grandparents to the grandkids, every single year. And they love it. And they just really, I love Disney anyway, opened my idea to how amazing it would be to be a part of this. So I attended that webinar. I listened to that webinar 2 more times afterward. I was so intrigued by it, and I wanted to make sure I caught all the little details that they shared about how this works, and what they decided to buy and why, and how they make the most of their DVC points. And then I really just spent a long weekend, several days, just delving into the numbers and the research here, so that I could really make an educated, informed decision about Disney Vacation Club. And so today I'm going to talk to you about the 3 revelations that I had about Disney Vacation Club, which I think are amazing. I've never heard anyone describe it this way. It's being willing to look at things from a different perspective. Like, just like you hear someone say, "Oh, I fly free 6 times a year," and you go, "Yeah, right." Like, that's too good to be true. If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't true, right? How many times have you heard that? But if you take the time to do a little research and to talk with other people who have done it, to listen to some of our member interviews, to ask me questions, and really make an informed decision for yourself, you actually come to understand this really does work. And it's the same thing with Disney Vacation Club. I just sort of brushed it off as too good to be true, too expensive. But when I really educated myself, I found some really surprising things. So I'm going to share with you my 3 revelations. And these really have to do with numerical calculations too, to really run the numbers here, and understand what it is you're doing and how this actually can be a really great investment. So here are the 3 revelations that I had. One is that through Disney Vacation Club, you can stay at the best Disney accommodations that you can find. Disney Vacation Club offers the standard studio hotel room that you'll find when booking direct, but you also have the option to book a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and a three-bedroom accommodations. And the 3-bedroom accommodations, I'm here to tell you, is like staying in a super duper suite. Really, really amazing. But these accommodations also give you access to a full kitchen. The studio's rooms have like a kitchenette, but and very often, you have like a separate bedroom and pull down beds that give you more space to house more people. And a lot of them are going through renovations. So they're the most updated rooms on Disney property. For example, like the Grand Floridian ones that are currently on sale through Disney Vacation Club. Those are newly renovated. Same with Riviera, and they are just super duper nice. So you're staying at the best accommodations that Disney has to offer. And if you love Disney, that's super appealing. It is to me. And you are doing so for significantly less than booking direct. And this is the case when you run the numbers, and I'm going to give you a little bit of math here. It's a little bit complicated, but if you go to Disney every year and you prefer to stay on property, okay, I think those are the two criteria that makes this less expensive for you. So if you're someone who wants to keep going year after year, and you do prefer to stay on property, and my family does love to stay on property, there's just something magical about having that Disney experience from start to finish, and the service that you get there that is unbeatable, and it's worth splurging. And if you're learning how to fly free, if you don't have to put money into airfare anymore, you can splurge on some things like this or wherever it is that you like to splurge. So I think the whole staying for less also comes into play based on your contract. So let's get into a little bit of DVC basics as we delve into this one, which is when you can buy Disney Vacation Club, you're buying a certain number of points. And then each room at Disney costs a certain number of points that you can book. It's really kind of like Southwest. Like Southwest flights cost a certain number of points, and they vary based on the day and the season and the demand and the city you're going to. It's the same thing with the Disney Vacation Club. The rooms vary based on the property, based on the time of year, based on the size of the accommodation, based on the view that you have. And so you can really play around with the points. And if you like playing this game of how much can I get for how few points, you can play it with Disney Vacation Club. So that's appealing too. But so you're buying a certain number of points with your contract. You're basically kind of looking ahead. You can look at their points charts and you can figure out how many points do I need to accomplish what I want to stay in at Disney at a particular time of year. And you can buy that number of points and you buy it at a particular resort. And that has a life. You have a contract. So the current ones that they're selling right now go through the 2060s. So if you kept your contract for the life of the contract, and we're going to talk in my other revelations about selling off your contract because you can resell it. So that's an option. But if you keep it till 2060, whatever, and you go every year, you're going to save, I calculated on just one example, I compared a Grand Floridian studio booked direct versus booked through a Disney Vacation Club contract. And over the life of the contract, you would save over $100,000. But if you want to look at the detail in terms of what you'd save for like a 7-night stay, I compared May 1st through 6th, 2023 in a resort studio, standard view, which you can book direct and you can book through Disney Vacation Club. And currently that was $4,464 to book that room in total. And that's a 5-night stay. Again, Grand Floridian. With Disney Vacation Club, that would cost me 88 points. So the way that you figure this out, and this is where you need to jot this down probably, is you have to know how much you paid per point. So right now you can buy Grand Floridian points, just to give you a number of what you're roughly looking at, for about $205, $207, somewhere in that territory. So you take, if it's $205, you take that number and you divide it by the number of years left in your contract. So a Grand Floridian contract expires in 2064. So that would be 42 years left in the contract. And the reason why you divide it by 42 to get the amount, the value per point, is because you get to use those points every single year. So you're going to use those points 42 times. So that's where the 42 comes in. And so if I do that, I get a value of $4.88 per point. And then you do pay annual dues or annual maintenance fees as a DVC member. And so the Grand Floridian currently is $7.01 per point per year. And so you add $4.88, which is the value of your point, plus $7.01 for the dues, and you get a value of $11.89. And you multiply that times the 88 points that you would have to use to book that accommodation. And that comes in with a value of $1,046. And you actually, that would be if you bought your contract direct from Disney. As I mentioned, you can sell contracts and you can buy them on the resale market. And when you're buying on the resale market, you typically can buy them less than you can buying direct from Disney, but you sacrifice getting the benefits that Disney offers members who buy direct. So we'll save that discussion for another time, but that's a personal choice you make. So if you bought it on the resale market, they're averaging about $185 per point is what you would pay. And if you did all that math again, you'd come out around $1,004. So you were paying over $4,000 booking direct, or around $1,000 if you were using your DVC points. So that would be if you held it for the life of the contract, if you went every year and you stayed in this 5-night room, 5-night Grand Floridian Resort Studio View. Standard view room. And if you, again, you multiply that savings of over $3,000 by 42 years, you come up with a value over $100,000. So that's one revelation to me. I actually had to take the time to do the math on this and see if it really made sense. Because you hear people, they're going to sell it to you and say, oh yeah, of course you can, it's you pay less than you do booking direct, but actually run the numbers. Like, do this yourself, like pick out a date, pick out a room that you can book in both places and look at the costs yourself and see if it makes sense to you. All right. So that was revelation number one. You can actually stay for significantly less in best accommodations Disney has to offer with a DVC contract. Okay. By booking through DVC. Okay. It gets better, y'all. Hang with me. Number two is you can actually stay at these accommodations free, totally free, just like I teach you how to fly free. Okay, so how does this work? This was the big biggie for me, was I had this revelation myself. No one said this to me. And then when I ran it by some people, they're like, yeah, that's right. But here's the thing. If you bought a Disney Vacation Club contract, and let's say I wanted to hold on to it for 10 years because I'm going to have kids in the house for another 10 years and we're going to use it for that period, but then we don't know that we're going to use it after that. That might not be of interest to us anymore. So at the 10-year point, I'm going to take that contract and I'm going to resell it. So if I can resell that contract for at least what I paid for it, plus the cost of the maintenance fees I paid every year for 10 years, I just stayed at Disney Vacation Club accommodations free for 10 years. Am I crazy? I think that's amazing. And okay, so then the question becomes, well, how do you know you can sell it for at least what you paid for it, right? There are all kinds of statistics out there that you can find that demonstrates that Disney Vacation Club has gone up in value from the time it started till today. Significantly, it always goes up in value. Now, just because it always goes up in value doesn't mean it's going to continue to always go up in value, but I think it's a reasonable assumption that it will. Disney is a beloved company that people are always going to love. People are always going to want to stay at Disney World and Disneyland, and they're definitely going to want to stay at certain resorts like Grand Floridian and Beach Club and the Polynesian and the Contemporary, these classic resorts that have been around that people love. So I think it's a very reasonable assumption, just like you would look at the stock market or just like you would look at real estate and say real estate has always gone up in value over time. This has always gone up in value over time, and it's likely to continue. So I have members who I have multiple people that I know who have sold their contracts and actually made a profit on it. And that's my third revelation is you can actually make money on Disney Vacation Club. It can be an investment for you. It can be a part of your portfolio. And we'll talk about the numbers on what kind of a return you could look for there. But not only could you potentially sell it for at least what you paid for it and get your money back, you're basically having to set down that money for a period of time and then get it back in 10 years after you're done staying there. And again, if you didn't ever want to sell it, then you'd have to go back to my number one revelation of you're still staying for significantly less than if you paid out of pocket direct to Disney over the life of that contract. So the other thing I wanted to mention here in terms of being able to do this for free, and this tip comes from my friend Leah over at The Budget Mouse. You can check out her podcast or go to thebudgetmouse.com. She has lots of great Disney tips, and check out my podcast with Leah here on Families Fly Free. Great podcast where she shared a lot of great tips. But she offered the idea that you can also rent some of your Disney Vacation Club points. And I think we all know that you can, this is going back to my timeshare idea inside Families Fly Free. You can rent other people's Disney Vacation Club points. So I could rent you my points and charge you a certain amount. And you would pay a lot less too than booking direct. But if I rent you my points, then I'm making some money back, right? So what she did, she had a Disney Vacation Club contract at some point in the past. And I think she said she had roughly 100 points. And so what she did is she used 50 points for her stays every year that accomplished what she wanted and where she wanted to stay. And then she rented out 50 points. And those 50 points that she rented out paid for her maintenance fees every year. So that's another way that you could look at staying free is cover your maintenance costs by renting out some points. And so when you're buying your contract, you might want to think about that. How many points do I really want for stays? And then should I buy extra to help cover the maintenance fees? Because again, the maintenance fees, again, were around $7, $8 per point. So it's not going to be that much more, to add on some points you're not going to significantly increase your maintenance fees basically by adding on some points. So she did that. And then she too sold her contract at some point and made a profit on it. So if you can at least make your money back, you're staying for free. If you sell it at a profit, you've just made money on it. Okay. And just an example of someone who's made a profit on it. So I had someone who bought at, I think around $107 per point. And then they sold about 10 years later for $171 per point. And that was a 60% increase in terms of what they got back from what they paid. So that really is an investment that paid off for them. And so they basically got paid to stay at Disney for 10 years with those points, however they used them to stay at Disney. Now, another way you could look at this in terms of as a part of your investment portfolio is you could technically buy some DVC points and rent all of them out all of the time. So saying you could rent them for about $18 per point, and depending on what service you use to rent them out, like we allow inside the Families Fly Free membership, you can work direct with our members who are DVC members or other timeshare holders, and you can work out a deal directly with them, which cuts out the middleman, which means you pay less to rent those points. And that's the lowest amount you're going to pay for those points ever. If you go through something like David's Vacation Club rentals, which does Disney Vacation Club, they're sort of the middleman, you're going to pay a lot more because they're taking their cut on the transaction to connect you to a DVC member who has points with someone who wants to rent their points. But so let's say you can rent your points for about $18 per point, and that's what my members who rent their points tell me they're able to do. And let's say you had 150 points. So if you rented those, you would make around $2,700 over the course of a year, renting 150 points at $18 a point. You want to take out, you're going to have to pay maintenance fees. So that's a cost you had to incur to do that. So your maintenance fees of $7 per point is about $1,050. And that leaves you with $1,649. So based on the cost of buying 150 points right now at, again, say roughly $205, $207 per point, you end up with somewhere in the territory of a 5 to 6% return on investment. If you, let's say you invested $25,000 to get those 150 points. That's not a bad return. It's a lot better than what you would get with a savings account right now, where you're going to get less than 1%. If you're basically paying them to hold your money for you. So if you instead invested in Disney Vacation Club and you rented out your points, you could even think about, like, at this 10-year point where I'm deciding, do I want to keep these points because my kids are out of the house? Do I want to sell the contract? You could, instead of selling the contract, you could just rent out all the points. And then if at some point in the future you decided, okay, we're going to use the points this year, use the points, right? And then next year you could rent out the points again and get your 5 to 6% return on your investment. And at any point, if you want to resell that contract, you can, and do it at a price. Go wait till it makes sense to sell your contract where you can at least make back what you paid for it. So I think the key calculations are understanding how to run that comparison between buying direct and what the value of the points you would have to use in DVC are. 2, understanding that historically DVC points have gone up in price every single year. They are way higher now than they were when they were first introduced. And understanding that there's a reasonable assumption. And please know, I'm not an accountant or a financial advisor. So of course, I don't know that this is the best thing for your situation. I'm just sharing with you my thought process on this. So check with your financial advisor, but it's a reasonable assumption that they will continue to go up in value and that you should be able to sell them at least for what you paid for them. And 3, recognizing that actually this can be an investment and understanding what that return on investment would be for you and running those numbers, that it could be a 5 to 6% return on investment. So I hope that showed you a completely different way to look at Disney Vacation Club instead of saying $25,000. My gosh, that doesn't make any sense. Why don't I just pay out of pocket when I want to go to Disney and pay the direct price? I hope you see how actually this could be a much smarter way to go about doing it if you love Disney and you want to go every year and you want to stay on property. Now, we don't have time to get into the rest of this. I'm going to continue to talk about Disney Vacation Club coming up because I am a new member. I'm excited about it. I want to share with you how I'm making things work. We did purchase at Grand Floridian, and because of a special offer they have going on right now, because we like that property, that's a great option for us. We like that it's on the monorail. The rooms are newly renovated. And it made financial sense. And we bought direct from Disney because we thought it was a good price and we like the perks that you get as a Disney Vacation Club member. But my members who are on the panel, they all seem to have a mix of direct with Disney points and points that they bought on the resale market. So it's fine to hold both. You just have to understand what the advantages and drawbacks are. So we'll delve more into that stuff as we do in the coming weeks. And inside the Families Fly Free membership, we are also going to add in a DVC insider call every quarter. For those of you who are DVC members or who are thinking about becoming DVC members, we're going to tell you all the latest news with DVC, what resorts are coming, what has changed, what are the new member benefits. All of these things we're going to address and take people's questions, let other DVC members help people who are new to it, who don't understand the value, who are trying to figure out if it makes sense for them. Doesn't make sense for everyone. And please know, I get no kickback commission from this whatsoever. I just think this was surprising to me, and I want to share this knowledge with you if you're willing to think outside the box a little bit. And again, if you are interested in Disney, it doesn't have to be DVC. We are going to be I will be teaching the How to Do Disney Free live course over a period of 6 months, once a month starting in October. And so if you want to get in on that, please join Families Fly Free by October 1st so you can get in on that class, because we're going to go through it live all together every single month. And you can check out Families Fly Free at familiesflyfree.com/join. So thanks for listening to my thoughts on Disney Vacation Club, and I will see you on the next episode. If you're ready to fly your family free forever, I invite you to join my Families Fly Free membership. You'll learn how to stop paying for airfare throughout the US, Caribbean, and Europe so you can make those priceless family travel memories before your kids or even your grandkids leave home for good. And you'll learn it using my simple, proven formula that's helped hundreds of families. Plus, it's risk-free. You either get your investment in the membership back in free travel, or I give you your money back. You can get more information at familiesflyfree.com/join.